Hello, everyone. Well, so I went to bed early last night and got up early. Oh, it was an exhausting day. The little one she had an infected thumb, and it got bad enough where I told my daughter, I think I would go and show that to a pediatrician. I Even though I like herbs, this and that, take care of things, myself on my own, I would never ever mess around with something that in a child, especially where I'm going, okay, this looks like it's out of my hands, right? I gotta get other glasses here. I can't. That's for me to see farther away. And so she did, and they immediately put her on antibiotics. So she's just over a year old, first time on antibiotics, and the doctors actually there were surprised that she hadn't been on antibiotics before that. Wow, is that the kind of the common thing for little ones to be on antibiotics really early on in their life? My daughter here, my third child, she did not get any antibiotics until she was actually a teenager. Never been on antibiotics before that. Oh, I knew enough. I had, yes, but one thing that I always did when something came up where I wasn't quite sure, is that really what I think it is? I would take them to the doctor, and then the doctor would confirm or say, and I would always go and fill the scripts and then just not use them. Okay. Uh, because I had other ways to take care of that without having my children's bodies already being invaded by something that, again, antibiotics aren't just taking care of the bad thing that's happening in our bodies. They also take the good, for example, intestinal flora, and kill that off. So then you have to get on acidophilus too, right? Yes. I asked my pediatrician once, I said, why don't you guys tell that to the parents? Hey, if your child's on antibiotics, get acidophilus, a bottle of acidophilus, and tell them on how to use that so that the child's stomach doesn't suddenly go haywire and they're feeling sick eating things and then don't want to eat or only want to eat certain things. Anyway, so, but she did. She had to get on antibiotics, and yesterday, I think she's teething as well. I had a combination of things, and she had a low grade fever. Uh, uh, I noticed that every time she gets the morning dose of antibiotics, that she gets really sluggish for a while, right? Like tired, like she's ready to go to sleep again. This and that. But anyway, she gets over it and then she's fine. Her thumb's okay now, yes. Um, so yesterday was kind of I had to just pay attention to the little one. She was very needy, wanted to be held, this and that. You could tell she was low energy. Yeah, okay. So my other grandkids ended up cleaning the whole garage. So this is a busy family. Both parents work from morning till evening time. And then when they come home, what do you want to do? Spend time, what? With each other. Yes, that's what they do here. So when something needs to go into the garage, it just goes there. And it was a bit of a mess in there. And they also have their gym equipment in there. Yeah, okay. So my oldest granddaughter, and especially my grandson, my younger one, my younger granddaughter too, but she kind of ended up helping me more than she did there, ended up cleaning the whole garage. Oh, 12-year old and a 9-year old, basically. You should see the job that they did. Oh my gosh, it was amazing. And my son-in-law, my daughter loved it. She's like, oh my, I could park my car in here now, right? And my son-in-law was just like, how did you guys do this in just an afternoon? That was amazing. And okay, so I had to tell my son, I said, well, it was my idea to put all the garage sale or the Goodwill stuff in your car that you rarely use. So anyway, so it's fun. It's amazing. And the thing is, you want to go and say, okay, they're messing around out there with I don't know what. I should go and supervise. I'm going, no, I don't. Let them do what they want to do out there and do their best. And they did amazing. I only went out for about 15 minutes to tell them, okay, that needs to go back here. That needs to go there. No, you can't move that. That's got to go where it was. And so a few things, where I had to guide them to that stays where it's at. And otherwise they did just an absolutely fantastic job on their own. That's when you know you're doing well, raising your children, being there for your grandchildren. You know you're doing well when you give them that kind of confidence to do a job that well because they've seen you do it. Yes? Amazing. It was amazing. So I've been watching Project Runway, and I have to say, ding dong, amazing, absolutely amazing. Yes? Okay, all right, all right. I'm so proud of my grandchildren to see what they did. And they didn't just stop by organizing they cleaned the floor. They did, as I said, superb job. Well done for two children. 112, 9. Fabulous. Ding dong, fabulous. Okay. I hope this lady who does that doesn't mind that I have used her trademark here. All right, let's get going. So the family today is going to, yes, my county, and to visit my son-in-law's family. And I could go, but I'm going to stay home, take care of the animals, and I do need the rest, though. I have plans. I want to weed the front yard. Things are blooming there now, and the grass is getting taller too. Yes, and the weeds and stuff. Weeds. Okay, it's a lot of grass. I do not eat grass. Though one, I guess, could eat grass if one would have to, right? Yes, Betcha makes a good salad too, or greens. Just saying. So I have plans to do that, and I have to do that in the morning because the sun won't hit that side until the afternoon. That's great. Yes. And again, it is proven that I think I talked. Did I talk about that? Negative ions, right? Yes, are in everything in nature, and when one touches it, this and that, it loads you up with energy, this and that. It's great for depression, anxiety, and who knows what else. Okay, and soil is another thing. Right? You dig in the soil, this and that, work in the soil is one of those things. I wonder if one were to do a study uh, uh, on gardeners, yeah, on how what is the mood, the state of mind of gardeners. And I have a feeling one would find that they are very content people, people who solve the problems rather than wallow in them. Yes, all kinds of other things. It be interesting on how it improves your mood, how it gets you over hurdles that could cause depression and anxiety and all that jazz. And again, is that the is our heavenly parent kind of a, most people call it a psychiatrist, right? As well, besides all the other stuff that come into being as heavenly parent is on earth here, where it's already in place. If you feel down, if you have a bad day, yes, go dig around in the soil, touch a tree for 5-10 minutes, yes, and soak up the negative ions that give what? Give you a better state of mind, balance you out. Your pH in your system gets balanced out. Peppermint will do that too, but drink peppermint tea or something. Isn't that amazing? It's all already out there without having to take some synthetic pills. Yep. One thing about depression medication is that, oh, it could make you more suicidal and more depressed. Huh? Okay. Let's get going. In the Book of Wisdom. Now, I gave some wisdom here, didn't I? Yes. And some good results. Yes. Cause and effect on how, when you're a good example to your children and grandchildren on where that goes. When you let them be creative. When you let them take the reins in something they're excited about. Yes? Always on the side of goodness, of course. All right. Now let's get into this wisdom here. In the Book of Wisdom 19, seventh antithesis, the Red Sea. But the godless were assailed by merciless anger to the very end, for he knew beforehand what they would do. Really? Who knew beforehand what they would do? God? Okay, you know what? Whatever. How, after letting his people leave and hastening their departure, they would change their minds and give chase. They were actually still conducting their mourning rites and lamenting at the tombs of their dead when another mad scheme came into their heads, and they set out to pursue, as though runaways, the people whom they had expelled and begged to go. A well-deserved fate urged them to this extreme and made them forget what had already happened, so that they would add to their torments to one punishment outstanding. And while your people were experiencing a journey contrary to all expectations, would themselves meet an extraordinary death. I'd like to mention something here. If your child would be taken, murdered, basically murdered, and that's what it was, murder, whatever happened, if that actually happened. Murdered, for whatever reason, it's still murder, right? What would you do after you kind of got over the, oh my gosh, what happened here? And who is to blame? Who is to blame for this? Okay, most people aren't going to look at themselves and go, I'm to blame. If I would have. And by the way, haven't I mentioned that yesterday? Who was to blame there? The Pharaoh. The Pharaoh is the one. And his, whatever his court was. His ministers and all. Who made the decision not to not let the Israelites leave when they wanted to. Not the common people. Again. So, well, here's the Pharaoh. He lost his firstborn son. They kind of got over the grief and go, what the heck? And we're just leaving letting these murderers leave? I'm putting my shoes into the shoes of the Egyptians right now, who did not believe in the one God. They knew something was there, maybe, as it said, alludes here, but obviously, right? Because if they would have been scared enough, had enough after all the plagues, this and that, wouldn't they step back and say, let them leave? Golly goodness, no. You lose your own children, you start to go a little nuts. Most people do. Especially when they're taken like that. Wouldn't you think? So what? Oh, they hadn't learned their lesson. This or that. No, I think they pretty much, as would most people, even today, react when stuff like that happens. Yes? So, but again, it was like, I said, I don't understand quite these stories here in the Bible. Nor do I want to. Because I feel like if I give in and say, yeah, the Egyptians deserved whatever they got. Remember how the Israelites ended up in Egypt to begin with. They weren't taken from their towns or this or that. And as far as I know, to begin with, the Israelites were given a part of Egypt to just be during the famine. Yes? What happened afterwards, I'm not sure. Yep. Why couldn't they just go on home again? I don't know. It doesn't say. It does not say anything about that. We don't know why they chose to stay, and then suddenly there probably was a Pharaoh who says, well, I'm going to use these people. They've just been mooching off of us. They can help us too, do other stuff. Right? So what? What became from a friendly encounter where they were allowed to stay, basically squat on Egyptian land, to slavery? I don't know. Was it really like that? Or did the story just turn into that? Yes? Is it really true that the Israelites could not have just left one by one if they wanted to? Okay, just saying. Well, anyway, here we are. Now it has come to this. And I'm just supposed to, I'm just going to be on the side of the Israelites. Well, no, because I don't believe everything that it says here. And I'm trying to put myself into the shoes of the Egyptians. Yes? Oh, the Egyptian Pharaoh? Okay, not a very wise, I don't know, wise leader. I wasn't there. All I'm getting is this, and it doesn't sound kosher. All right, let's keep going. For the whole creation submissive to your commands had its very nature recreated, so that your children should be preserved from harm. Overshadowing the camp there was the cloud. Where there had been water, dry land was seen to rise. The Red Sea became an unimpeded way. The tempestuous waves, a green plain, sheltered by your hand, the whole nation passed across, gazing at these amazing prodigies. They were like horses at pasture. They skipped their lambs. They skipped like lambs, singing your praises, Lord, their deliverer, for they still remembered the events of their exile. How the land had bred mosquitoes instead of animals, and the river had disgorged millions of frogs instead of fish. Okay, now they're talking, and here, okay. Later they were to see a new way for birds to come into being. When goaded by greed, they demanded something tasty, and quails came up out of the sea to satisfy them. So here, singing your praises, Lord, their deliverer, for they still remembered the events of their exile. Right at the end. How long were the Israelites in exile? Wait a minute. No. They were not exiled. They went there on their own. Okay? Remember? Anybody remember the story with Joseph? They went there on their own. Oh, it's just that one family. Well, it doesn't sound like it. Sounds like that when they found out that Joseph, an Israelite, was there handing out food during the famine, they all went. Most of them went. I guess. Because how did they suddenly become so numerous there? Because it doesn't say nowhere that the Egyptian Pharaoh, during the time of Joseph, went and got all the Israelites and captured them as slaves and brought them into exile to Egypt. Doesn't say that nowhere. Just saying. Just saying. Okay, we got to keep going. I'm already at 18 and this is our last one here. So this all happened right after, as I said, right? They wanted to leave, and then all this stuff started to happen. Yeah, we want to escape all that, right? Yes? Okay. It seems to me like some of those things happened, maybe all, kind of in succession at the same time, so the Israelites would leave, would want to leave. I don't know about the Red Sea, did it really part, this or that. There is a whole other story on how the Israelites could have gone in a lot faster route to Canaan than they did. But supposedly Moses led them through the desert, maybe because of the Red Sea, and they actually never went there. Okay, just, you know what, I'm not going to go there. Egypt, guiltier than Sodom. On the sinners, however, punishments rained down, not without violent thunder as early warning, and they suffered what their own crimes had justly deserved, since they had shown such bitter hatred to foreigners. After 400 years, if you still look at your neighbor as a foreigner, you know what? I can't help you. Kind of the same thing in this country. I'm not going there. Others indeed had failed to welcome strangers who came to them, but the Egyptians had enslaved their own guests and benefactors. Benefactors. How were the Israelites ever benefactors to the Egyptians? Okay. The sinners, moreover, will certainly be punished for it, since they gave the foreigners a hostile welcome. How? As far as I know, the Pharaoh at that time welcomed Joseph's family with open arms. Okay, where did that come from? But the latter, having given a festive reception to people who already shared the same rights as themselves, later overwhelmed them with terrible labors. Okay, hence they were struck with blindness, like the sinners at the gate of the upright. When yawning darkness all around them, each had to grope his way through his own door. Okay, whatever. Make something up. A new harmony in nature, a new attuning of the elements occurred. As on a harp, the notes may change their rhythm, though all the while preserving the same tone. And this is just what happened. Land animals became aquatic, swimming once took to the land. Fire reinforced its strength in water, and water forgot the power of extinguishing it. Flames, on the other hand, did not char the flesh of delicate animals that ventured into them, nor did they melt the heavenly food, resembling ice and as easily melted. Where would they have had that type of science at that time? I don't know. Conclusion. So maybe they made it up. Yes, Lord, in every way you have made your people great and glorious. You have never failed to help them at any time or place. May be true. The last part, a new harmony in nature. I would say that none of this ever happened, but someone came out and said, "What if?" Right? Because the cause and effect of for example, a delicate animal venturing into flames will be burned and cooked. Ooh, ready to eat. Right? But what if not? Right? So it's kind of yeah. What's it called? Oxymoron? No, maybe not. Well, anyway, so again, these are just words. There's no action to it to be actually seen, right? To prove, yes, this happened. Hey, that's the end of it. So the conclusion, one more time. Yes, Lord, in every way. You have made your people great and glorious. You have never failed to help them at any time or place. I believe teamwork makes the dream work. It isn't our Heavenly Parent who just puts his hand over everything, says, okay, okay, puts a bubble around it, nothing happens to us, and everyone else will be afflicted. It doesn't work that way. That's why we have free will. And our Heavenly Parent has never interfered with our free will. Never, ever. The people who interfere with our free will is ourselves and the people around us who want to tell us what we need to do, what we can do, what we shouldn't do, blah, 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 da, 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 da. Right? Yes? Yeah. And I'll bring up an example here, again, on how we are so good at looking everybody else when it comes to a certain problem or a certain thing or something that's already in the world kind of way gone astray. But we don't want to really look at ourselves and our own families, though we have plenty to work on the restore on there on our own. Number one, marriage. So as I was on YouTube and I went through, okay, let's see what's going on there. Oh, the Obamas are getting a divorce, finalizing a divorce. And I'm going, what? I'm going to go see what this guy has to say. It was ridiculous. YouTube lets stuff like that go through, and it gets views and views and views. It was just a bunch of humbug, all of it. I wanted to go in. I can't because I was watching it on the TV here, not on the tablet. I want to go in and say, what a bunch of humbug. Why do you even make this video? What is it for? What exactly for? First of all, it is not my business on how Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, what's going on in their marriage. That is not my problem. That's not my business. Number two, everything was a lie. There were rumors going around that, oh, because they're not always together anymore. Well, they're not the president and the first lady anymore and haven't been in a while. So if they do things some separate, this, that, but supposedly, then I went up, I'm going to Google it. True or false? Are they getting a divorce? Are they close to a divorce? No, they're not. They're just not doing everything together anymore. She doesn't want to go to all them events he's going to. 60-some years old, you get tired. I am. I know how it feels like. Then I don't know. Maybe physically they have some things going on, but hey, I gotta go to bed. You know what? I just want to lay back, watch some TV. I'm going to another event. I've been to how many of them? Do you know what I mean? Just because they're famous, what? They can't go home and rest? If if the husband still wants to go out and have a good time, or keep the fame and fortune up, or what? Okay, she doesn't want to do it. Well, so what? That doesn't mean they're getting a divorce, and obviously they're not. Just saying. But here, people are, wow, soaking it up. Well, rumors. Why are there even rumors about that out there? Why don't people, as soon as stuff like that happens, say, that ain't my business? Stop talking about it. That's their business. I got enough to do. And when it comes to all that, we have enough problems in our own family for people to stay together because of all that humbug out there. Yes? Looking at someone else's non-existing problems on top of that as a problem, not willing, so that then one doesn't have to look at themselves. Hey, what's going on in our own families? Good thing we're not famous, because boy, would we make the news. Huh? Would we make the news, and guys like that, Benny whatever, would have things to say about us. Also, the degrading way on how he presented all that, I did not like. It was atrocious. So, how about here in the Bible? In some ways on how the Egyptians are being, yes, presented, or the picture we're getting of them, they're horrible, they're terrible. It's degrading. So what? So the Israelites look better? Again, just saying. Don't believe everything that's in here in the exact, because it isn't God's word. Not all of it is God's word. It's not inspired by God. Did God most likely pave the way some for Moses and Aaron to guide his people? Yes. Was it done in the way that it describes here? Destroying another people for it? I don't believe so. Yes? Yeah. All right. Well, there you go. So difficult to get the truth. Just the truth and the absolute truth and nothing but the truth. People swear on the Bible in court to give that and then still lie. Isn't that something? Yes. All right, that's all I have to share. We're getting close. May Heavenly Parent bless, protect you, guide you, embrace you with love. Eldritch, my dearest, wonderful brother in faith, I love you. Let's keep praying. Yes, especially for all the soldiers around the world. All the soldiers around the world, not just the ones we like or want to like, right? Yes? And so they may lay down their arms and make them into plowshares. Oh, my. Wouldn't that be something? Huh? I think everyone in the world, if all soldiers were to do that, become farmers instead of soldiers, everyone in the world would have enough to eat. Huh? Yes? I think it'd be worth it to think about that, especially for all of our children in this world. Yes? Woo, there you go. All right. And I will talk to y'all another time.